Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of IPPFA TV. IPPFA TV is an outreach arm of the Illinois Public Pension Fund Association. We are a group that supports the operation of the individual police and fire municipal pension funds in the state of Illinois, and hopefully have additional information for other Illinois employees and maybe even those around the country. Today's session is on the suburban and downstate Illinois police pension benefits under Tier 2. We do have a tiering system in Illinois. If an individual first came into police Article 3 service on or after January 1, 2011, they are in Tier 2, and they have a different level of benefits than in the Tier 1 group. It is still a very meaningful, stable, financially beneficial level of benefits, and the public safety unions did a very good job in the initial adoption of Tier 1 to the extent that they could in preserving some very important benefits. But also in 2020, some reform legislation improved Tier 2 benefits, and that's reflected in today's presentation. Just a comment on Tier 2 status. If you came into Article 3 service after January 1, 2011, you're in Tier 2. There's sometimes opportunities for buyback of service, military time, sometimes transfers of service from the IMRF or a state system are allowable under state law from time to time. If you do exercise those, that's great for improving your service credit. Regretfully, it cannot change your status. So with that, we'll go right to the operation of the downstate system and Tier 2. Bring up slide number 1. What is a pension? Seems kind of basic, but important to our discussion today. It's a fixed monthly payment that replaces income that you lose either due to age, disability, or death. Pension benefit for retired police officers outside of Chicago and small towns is established under Article 3 of the Illinois Pension Code and is referred to as the Downstate Police Pension System, even though many members are up in the metro ring of Chicago or even north in the state, Waukegan, Freeport, Galena. Even if you're on the Wisconsin border, you're referred to as a downstate police officer in the eyes of the Illinois Pension Code. Looking at the definition of salary, which is a part of where our pension is calculated, defined benefit pension system pays a pension to a retiree based on his or her salary and length of service. As to a salary for a Tier 2 downstate police officer, it is the average of the last 4 years that we use for calculating your pension, and that is base pay excluding overtime. Also, that pension is capped in Tier 2 at an amount set by law that is adjusted for inflation, and in 2025, that amount is a little over $141,000. That is the salary cap this year under Tier 2. We see the formula on slide number 3. A Tier 2 officer must attain 10 years of service and then has a pension formula of 2.5% of pay times the years of service times final salary, which maxes out at 30 years or 75% of pay. I have 2 examples. The first officer had 30 years, so he or she gets 2.5% times 30 years times a salary of $80,000 a year. In my example, which is a monthly salary of $6,667, 75% of that is $5,000 a month. In the next example, it's 26 years of service times 2.5% of pay times the salary, same salary, results in a pension of $4,333 a month. Now, as to retirement age, these formulas are based on pension payable at age 55 in Tier 2. Tier 2 employees can commence pension as early as age 50, and they incur a 6% decrease for each year that the pension is drawn before age 55. We believe that these features operate similarly to many of the Tier 1 benefits that have an early retirement age, such as the teacher system and the Illinois Municipal Retirement System, and also private union plans and Social Security all provide for both a normal retirement age, but then a reduction if the individual withdraws early. Moving on to slide number 4, we have disability benefits payable under Article 3. And these are the same for both tiers. For non-duty related condition, benefits are 50% of salary. For a duty-related condition, benefits are 65% of salary, or the pension earned by virtue of years of service, if that amount would be higher than 65% of pay. Please note that in the police pension code for a duty-related pension, the act of duty that disables the individual must be something that is unique to law enforcement. Risks that the general public are exposed to are not acts of police duty. Also note that police pension boards have a statutory process that they must follow in reviewing a disability pension application, and this process can take some time. Slide number 5, we see the process and the benefit levels for increases in pension for Tier 2 retirees. If a person retires before age 60, on January 1st after attaining age 60, the Tier 2 pensioner receives a pension increase equal to 0.5% of inflation, but not more than 3%. Then each January 1st thereafter, an additional increase is paid equal to 1/2 of the increase in inflation to a maximum of 3%, times the amount of the original pension. So this is not a compounded increase. If you're retired after age 60, the same increase as described above begins on January 1st after the pensioner has been retired for 1 year. We see on slide number 6 that the pension system also makes payments to survivors under Tier 2. A spouse surviving an active police officer who dies in the line of duty is entitled to 100% of pay. The surviving spouse of a service or a disability retiree receives 66 2/3%, or overall 2/3 of the monthly pension being paid. And a spouse surviving an active police officer who had 10 years of service who dies not in the line of duty receives the higher of 66 2/3 of the pension he or she had earned, or 54% of salary. Who are the survivors that are eligible for these pensions? Well, surviving spouse is eligible. Gender is irrelevant. For police retirees, you must be married at the time of retirement for a surviving spouse to be eligible, or there is an opportunity for a pension for a new spouse. A surviving spouse who marries a retired police officer after his date of separation may receive a surviving spouse benefit if the marriage lasted at least 5 years and the surviving spouse is age 62 or older. Once that individual goes into payment status, the duration of the pension benefit is limited to 15 years. If you are in this situation, check with your local police pension board for more information. If there is no surviving spouse, a natural or legally adopted child under age 18, a handicapped child of any age, or a surviving dependent parent may also be eligible for survivor benefits. The survivor benefits under Tier 2 actually do have an annual increase available, when Tier 1 does not. The law that established Tier 2 does include an annual increase for Tier 2 survivors in the Article 3 police pension funds. It operates the same way as it does for the retiree at age 60, 1/2 the rate of inflation, or 3%, whichever is higher. In slide number 7, we move over to the consideration of employee contributions. Tier 1 and Tier 2 members pay 9.91% of their pensionable salary into the fund each payday. These contributions are often tax exempt under a provision known as employer pickup. It's not really a payment by the employer, but it's an allowable tax-saving mechanism. These contributions are refundable, or they can be rolled over into an IRA for employees who separate service before vesting and do not apply for a pension. Contributions help fund the system and are a very important part of the total pension financing plan. Don't listen to complaints or negative comments that public employees, especially Illinois police, don't pay a lot of their own pension through contributions. You do pay a lot of your own pension through contributions. If given proper earnings credit from the fund's investments, starting the day you make your first contribution till the day a survivor dies, you probably pay a third of your own pension through payroll contributions. This is a very important part of the pension financing operation. In slide number 8, we discuss portability of service between Article 3 funds. The Illinois Pension Code allows an officer with at least 2 years of credited service to transfer his or her pension credit from one Article 3 community to another. I'll explain how that works in general, and then we'll give a very important example. In general, the first fund makes a payment to the second fund in the amount of the employee's payroll contributions, an equal amount of that contribution, which is imputed to be the municipality's contribution, and then 6% interest on both of those numbers combined. The dollar amount that's paid by the first fund to the second fund, however, may be less than what's called the true cost of the service being transferred. If that occurs, either the officer must make up the difference or accept a reduced amount of transferred service prorated between the amount coming over and the true cost. Like I said, that's a lot, so let's look at a specific example. Jane had 3 years of service at the Fox Lake Police Department. Her payroll contributions were $14,000. She leaves there for the Skokie Police Department. To effect a transfer of service, Fox Lake pays Skokie her $14,000, a match of $14,000, and $3,000 in interest, totaling $31,000. But Skokie's police fund actuary says that the true cost of transferring 3 years of service to Skokie is $38,750, not $31,000. So Jane must make up the difference, $7,750, or accept transfer of 29 months of credited service instead of the full 36 months. Let me just touch on a few matters of governance of these police pension funds. They're governed by state law, Article 3 of the Illinois Pension Code, and a local board of trustees. Consists of 2 active members elected by the active police officers, a retired member elected by the retirees, and then 2 citizens appointed by the village or the city. Illinois Department of Insurance acts as a regulator. You can visit their website for more information on your pension fund and on other police pension funds. The pension board needs information from you and documents from you in order to keep their files complete. Your application, your birth certificate, marriage certificates, divorce information, birth certificates, and adoption papers on children. All of this is important to have if in the event of an unexpected event, they want to process a pension quickly. And equally as important, the state wants us to have that information available, and on an examination, if the file is deficient, they will take action to make sure that deficiency is corrected. So let's keep that from happening by keeping your information, helping your pension board keep your information up to date. There's other players in the pension world. There's the village or the city. In the private sector, we would call them the plan sponsor. Your fund may have an actuary, an attorney. The Illinois Police Officers Pension Investment Fund, IPPFA, is responsible for investing our money, taxpayers' money, to make sure that it is available when pensions are needed. Your fund may have an accountant. It may have a administrative services company that helps manage the fund and make the pension payments. So all of these are players that you should be familiar with and access them if you need their services. Finally, on slide 9, just some quick references for more information. Our IPPFA Retirement Guide, a book available on Amazon or bulk purchase through IPPFA, is a one-stop guide on police and fire pensions, deferred compensation, and Social Security. It's a great resource to help you plan and understand your retirement. And also, you should consider attending a police pension board meeting and stay up to date on pension matters. In closing, I'd like to thank you for your attention to this module. Thank you again for your career and personal commitment to public safety. On behalf of IPPFA, we hope you enjoyed our presentation today. Please contact us if you require more information. Thank you.